Hi everybody, it's now time for lesson 2 of Chemistry 10 here. It's properties and classification of matter. This is definitely something that most of you have done before. It's part of grade 9. Nothing too new and huge here. It is important to know this information though. Here you have your student learning objectives. You want to be able to classify according to the properties of matter. And like I said, most of this has been done in previous grades. Now, this is the matter classification chart. Most of these, like I said, you've done these before. My goal here today is I would like that you want to know what the difference is between each of these categories. And you'd like to know how you get there. Now, a pure substance. Now that was on the left-hand side. That was right here. So what you're trying to think of right now is, well, why is a pure substance different than a mixture? A pure substance is something that has identical particles. Now this doesn't mean that it has to all be one type of element. It could be a piece of matter made up of compounds, but every compound is identical. So if you look right here, this would be a pure substance made of compounds. As you can see, right here you have a compound. Let's pretend let's say it's 1A and 3 B's. The point is, everything else in there is 1A and 3 B's. That's a pure substance compound. Now right here, this is also a pure substance, but in this case, everything is the same atom or element, okay? So basically, to have a pure substance, everything inside of it has to be identical. It can either be based on the same atom over and over and over and over, or it can be simply a compound that repeats. On the other hand, what you have are mixtures. Now, mixtures are when you have a combination of different elements. I mean, I think these two pictures right here really sum it up. We get right down to it. We have different types of atoms all over the place, okay? It's when different elements combine together. Components can be separated using physical means. I'm not going to worry too much about that. But it is important to know that every one of these atoms or elements maintain their own properties. So I'm trying to let you see, so a mixture is where you have a whole bunch of things thrown together. Pure substance simply is when everything is the same. But what it's important to know now is, well, are there different types of mixtures? And that's where we're going to go to next. There are two kinds of mixtures. You have homogeneous and heterogeneous. And if you go back here, pardon me for 1 second, you can see, so we did mixtures. And now we're looking at the homogeneous and the heterogeneous, and why do we get these two separations? Well, basically, when you have a homogeneous mixture, you could have many things put together, but to the visible eye, it looks like just one thing. So for example, let's say you take this tea down here, or this water. Basically, if I were to put these sugar cubes in there and mix it all around, they will kind of, dissolve and you can't see them anymore. So what you'll be left with is kind of this brownish liquid. It looks like we only have one type of thing in there. We cannot physically see the difference between the different compounds or elements that are in there. So again, a homogeneous mixture is where you have a mixture, but to your eye, you can't tell that there are numerous things in there. On the other hand, a heterogeneous mixture is where you have different components put together and you can see them. I think of chocolate chip cookie dough. I also think of this candy mix. Of course, that's a mixture, and to my eye, I can see all of them. Please be aware of these two differences. Now, You will notice here, though, that I did not make separate slides for pure substances. We talked about this, but I think it's just important. These are very simple. I mean, we talked about elements. We talked about compounds. End of the day, what I would like you to know is how matter is separated into pure substances and mixtures, and then you want to know the rest of this flow chart. You want to know that pure substances flow into elements and compounds, and you want to know how mixtures separate into homogeneous and heterogeneous mixtures. And you should be able to give examples of all of those. Of course, this material has been covered before. You can find it in your textbook. And as I said, that'll wrap up this lesson, but please be familiar with this system.